We believe in second chances. That's the foundation of what we do. We believe in second chances. So we come into the interview with that no judgment. I say that to people who are applying. I'm interested in where you're going, not as much of where you've been. We have partnered with a certain number of not-for-profits that focus on both addiction and homelessness and incarceration and transition. So many of our employees have gone through not-for-profit programs, and then we give them their first shot at employment. In fact, many of our employees have tried to find employment elsewhere but couldn't, and we have kind of onboarded them and supported them so that they can grow and move on.
Whenever I started looking for employment, it was difficult. It was really hard. Everyone wanted you to have open availability, and when you're in treatment, you can't do that. I felt like I constantly had to lie about where I was or what I was doing because most people didn't want to hear I'm a drug addict and I'm in treatment right now, you know? So when I came to the interview here, they were looking for people that were in treatment. They were looking for people transitioning, so I didn't have to hide that. And that's like one of the best things about working here is because like I don't have to hide who I am. And the people that come to this cafe, are their support and their love and their admiration for what we're doing here is really important. So I mean, that kind of pushes me, and it makes me, it gives me a level of comfort that I wouldn't have anywhere else.
When I make these sandwiches, you know, we got a little peek window out, and I look out there and I see how they're eating it and enjoying it. That brings happiness to me. It makes me know that I make them happy about making their food. I used my last time being in incarceration of dealing with self, my issues, facing my issues, accepting the things that I have done wrong, turning my life around, the way I was thinking, the way I was seeing life. I had to change all of that. You know, work in this program, Ready for Work, Abraham Ministry, to be able to come into my circle and work on me and work with me. And by me going through all of that, and with that program, they led me right here to Portico. Ain't too many jobs out there that's willing to give you a second chance of life. And so I took this opportunity, and when I got here, I said, this is for me right here. And I've been here ever since, and I don't see myself going nowhere.
Justin LaRosa, who's the director here, has been a friend of my brothers, my older brothers, for quite a long time. And when I was especially struggling, maybe about 7-8 years ago, and I moved down to Tampa to be closer to family, he helped me out a lot. He wanted me to come work here. Not necessarily, well, he'll tell me now that he wanted to keep a closer eye on me, but obviously he entrusted me to have a management position. So working here has kind of helped me become more responsible. You know, I've met some amazing people.
The Portico, and this is why I love it so much, is we are all from the same background here. So coming here is, when I have a problem or an issue, I'm having a bad day, they understand what I'm going through. They talk me through it. It's kind of like a free counseling session, really. And I get different insight. I get hugs, I get encouragement, and I get answers like, hey, I've been there. Let me tell you what I did. Or some of my coworkers are like, you know what, here, call this person and see if they can help you because they helped me in the past.
We wanted to have a coffee shop with a mission. We wanted people to know that when they walked in the door, when they utilized the space, when they bought a sandwich, when they got the coffee, that they would know that they were helping people transition from brokenness to restoration, from addiction, incarceration, and homelessness to stability.
I wanted to be a teacher. You know, I have felonies now, so I can't do that, you know. But I wanted to be a teacher. I wanted to teach kindergarten because I love kids. But yeah, I can't do that now. But that's okay. I have a kid I can teach, and I have friends' kids that I can teach. And like teaching comes in so many other ways. Like just with my staff here, other people in recovery that are just transitioning out, that are brand new out of treatment. I get to teach them what I've learned through life experience and through living the program and being clean and learning how to handle emotions and getting through things. So maybe I'm not a kindergarten teacher, but I still think like in some ways I still have the ability to teach. So I grew up in Plant City. My father was a drug addict. He was in and out of prison most of my life. My mom was always like the strong female, like she took care of everything, worked 3 jobs, went to school, took really good care of us. But my dad was, here and there. They divorced when I was like 10. When I was 16, I started using drugs, like recreationally at first, marijuana, alcohol, ecstasy, stuff like that. Whenever I was 18, I started using more hardcore drugs. And it just progressively gets worse and worse. At first, I didn't think it was an issue. I was pretty good at still holding down a job. I still went to school. I still did everything that a normal person would do. So I didn't think it was an issue. After my dad passed away, that changed a lot. I no longer wanted to try to hold down a job. I didn't really care if I went to school. I dropped out of school. It changed a lot, and then it brought me to a new low. I tried to get clean quite a few times. It didn't really work because I didn't really want it. In 2016, I got pregnant with my daughter, and she saved my life. Unfortunately, like while I was pregnant, I didn't stop using. I wish I would have, but I didn't. So right before she was born, I got really sick. I got endocarditis, which is an infection in your heart. So I was hospitalized for the last 8 weeks of my pregnancy. And from there, DCF got involved. And when she was born, they sheltered her from me, which means like they removed her from custody. My mom got her, and they put me in treatment. So whenever I got into treatment, I went to DACO. I hated it at first. I didn't really think I deserved, like everyone was taking things from me. They took my daughter, they took, my freedom, they took this, they took that. But as time went on, I realized like I had given those things away.
And Mindy came to us through a not-for-profit when we were first hiring. And the interesting thing about Mindy was I wasn't sure when I first met her. I wasn't sure. She was newly kind of transitioning. I wasn't sure if she was going to shine. Whenever I was hospitalized, I'd like to say that woke me up, but it didn't. I continued to use even while I was in the hospital. After my daughter was born, I used one time after she was born. So once I got into treatment, it was kind of like slowly it happened, but I remember I was outside smoking a cigarette, and we weren't allowed to smoke cigarettes on the property or at all. And I was walking in, and another girl was walking out at the same time, and she smelled it. And she looked at me, and because she knew I was trying to get my daughter back, she looked at me and she said, "Is that worth it? Is that cigarette worth not being able to see your daughter? Is that cigarette worth like jeopardizing you getting custody of her back?" And then she just kept walking. But when I went back to my room, I really started thinking like, is that cigarette worth me not being able to see her? You know what I mean? And that really is when the switch flipped and I started doing things different. I do remember her that she had a deep desire to be reunited with their daughter.
Being separated from Brianna, of course, you know, she was only 3 months old whenever I went into treatment. So learning to accept that I didn't have control over what happened with her, just facing myself and facing the damage I had done was probably one of the most difficult things. And then putting all the pieces back together.
And that was what I heard and remember as a driving force for her to want to change. And so even though I wasn't sure about her, the way that I saw her blossom over time was just amazing.
Since I have her back now, is just to become the best version of me I can for her. I just want to make her proud. And I want to be successful, of course, but more important than money or material things is I want her to have a mother she can be proud of. And that's my goal in life. Like, I look up to my mom so much, and the strength that she has is so admirable. And one day I want Brianna to look at me the same way I look at my mother.
Mommy, I know
The Buccaneers is my team, so I love to go to football games. I love to go to movies. I love bowling. I definitely love riding my bicycle. Good exercise. All the things that I'm doing right now, you would be like, Charlotte, I can't believe you do it. If you knew me back then, you'd be like, Charlotte, this is not you. Yes, this is me. This is me. This is the life that I've been yearning for the longest. And I love to spend time with my kids when we have a chance, because they grown now, but they're still my babies. It still kind of like bothered me because I wasn't there when they were being raised as a baby. I didn't raise them. But I tried, like I said, I prayed on that type of stuff, and I try not to let that bring me down, because they still here and I still have that opportunity to be in their life. And I thank God, they pick up the phone, they call me, Mom, ask me questions. They just don't know. I'd be so excited, but I got to stay calm to let them know, hey, I'm still mama now, but I love it when they call and ask me questions.
When I met with Charlotte, it was one of those enjoyable, I was up in my office, it was me and another staff team member, and I remember her authenticity and just her desire to be different. And I remember her laughing.
That's my dream, of being rich and more often getting in a higher position than what I am right now. I really want to help those that can't help themselves, because somebody helped me. My mother was a very loving mother. She tried to teach us well. I come from a very large family, and I chose the wrong life, the wrong path. I was on drugs, and I was on drugs real bad. And once I got hooked onto it, it took me a very long time to kick it. But at the beginning, I wasn't trying to kick it because I was trying to hide the feelings that I was going through and didn't want to face. I had a lot of issue that was going on in my life that I was blaming, like being molested. I was blaming that, like having a father that was very large in that field of selling drugs. I didn't want to face it. Being in the streets, hanging around the wrong people, taking, stealing, I didn't want to deal with none of that I was doing. Hurting my family is number one. I didn't want to face it because of the pain that I brought on to them.
And she told me what she wanted to do and who she wanted to become and how God was important in her life. It was really, to me, just a no-brainer.
Every time I tried to change, every time I was getting incarcerated, I was in and out of incarcerated. And every time I be in there, I'd be like, I'm finna change, I'm not gonna do this, I'm not gonna do this. And it just seems like every time I get out of it, I end up falling right back into that cycle. And I used to wonder, Lord, how can I get out this cycle? How can I change me from continue to keep going in circles? I need a way out. And and it's like like I said, over 20 some years, I've been begging how I need to do this. So this last time of me being in incarceration, a couple of years back, I had to actually isolate myself from everyone. When I say everyone, I mean everyone. And I had to take this time and utilize and use what the institution had to help me. And not only that, I had to put, is it okay I can use my religion? I had to put my God first, because without him, I couldn't have did none of this.
My dreams are definitely to have a family, a healthy, loving family. With that also, I love computers, so I definitely am pursuing a career in big data. I had always kind of compared myself to my brothers. They were amazing role models. They graduated at the top of their class. They were very responsible. They tried to teach me these things. It didn't work very well back then. I had always kind of set myself in competition with them to achieve things. They were 5.5 and 7 years older than me. So I kind of had set these goals to accomplish the same things or more when they had reached their 30s or when they had reached their 40s and things like that, which I didn't do. I took that as I wasn't good enough, or that I didn't have the brain power, the intelligence to do what they did. And that in turn kind of fueled my desire to escape, to not feel that those negative things. I went to college in Manhattan, in New York City, and definitely it's very easy to get into a bad crowd up there. Kind of moved down here to get away from all of that. I kind of gravitated back, that's what was familiar to me. So I was gravitating back to those situations and those people. So that was something that I really had to change if I was going to succeed.
Kurian had known for a while in that he had been kind of on this journey of change, and it had taken him a while. Really highly skilled, intelligent person who just struggled, right? And kept on,
I was in a very toxic relationship, and I had decided that I was not going to drink. That was the first step for me. But I can only help myself, but I can't help other people. My environment was not very stable at all. So I was at a point where I felt hopeless. I felt that the only way that I was going to escape that reality was by drinking again, doing something to alter the way I feel and the way that I think. So I had a plan for how I was going to maybe end my life. I was like, okay, I'm gonna put on some music. I'm gonna close the garage, and I'm gonna just run the car there and let the carbon monoxide do its job. And so when I was waiting there and thinking about this, my phone rang. And so I kind of just broke down and just told him what was going on. He immediately came, picked me up. We went to a meeting, another recovery meeting, and I decided that's when I was going to change. And I made sure that I surrounded myself that had been in similar situations like that had that same experience. Some of them in worse positions than mine. Some of them had realized what was happening sooner and didn't let it get to a really bad point. But they were all in the same room together. And that was something, and that is still something that is very important to me, to be able to share those kind of experiences with others.
When he went through a not-for-profit program and came out, it was a joy to be able to see him actually put into practice what his words had been saying for a while. So he had made this pivot from talking to action and less talking. And he's been a great team member, and he's just flourished, and he's getting all this training.
How I've kind of set up my life now is to be accountable to other people. So if I already have set the goals, the organization I was talking about on the third floor, they've provided me, paid for some IT training, some computer networking training for me to advance to my next phase, my next career. And so they've been asking me how everything is going, so I have like a plan of everything that I've been doing, the certifications that I'm completing. So I'm a little behind, but I'm still very much on track. So I try to keep myself accountable so that I don't fail or I don't finish what I'm trying to do.
And we've seen just the growth that the sky's the limit for him.
It kind of opened up new doors when I decided to change my life around a couple of years ago. My fiance now is someone that I've known for a few years. We used to work together at a medical school, and she tells me this now. She's like, I always knew that you were very, very much a family-oriented man. The way that that I talked about my mother and my parents and my brothers and my family. So she could tell that I had that warmth in me and that desire I was a very loyal person, she says, which is very true. And I didn't really see it that way. And it just so happened that over a year ago, we started up a conversation and we decided to meet for yogurt, and it kind of just blossomed from there. And she has been truly a blessing to me. I never thought that I deserved somebody like her, but now I think differently about myself. I believe that I deserve good things too. And she's just the most amazing person. So, and now I have this excitement for our future and our future family and our future life together.
My dream now is I want to be an ER doctor. A small period of my life, I was clean because I got accepted to the licensed practical nursing program, which I completed. I became an LP in August 2011 in the state of Oklahoma. Eventually, my addiction, it didn't take it because it's still in the back burner, but I got into a little bit of trouble, and so I was afraid to face the board of nursing, so I didn't renew my license. I found out now that it wasn't that big of a crime, so to speak, and they're gonna let me resit for boards and I will get my license back. Right now I'm studying, so I don't wanna my goal is by August of next year to have my license back, so. But after that, I wanna go on. I wanna be a doctor. So in the ER, because I love fast-paced and I work very well under pressure. So, what's really fun for me, I go on dates with myself. I like to go to Olive Garden and Biblos when I want Lebanese food. And sometimes I love when they say, how many in your party? And I say, just one. Yeah. So bowling and Chuck E. Cheese. I get to play with my son, and he doesn't know it, but I have more fun than he does. I like getting all the tickets and cashing them in at the end. Shopping with my daughter, she loves to shop. And so she's taught me about fashion, which I didn't have before. She'll say, Ma, don't wear that. Come get this shirt right here. And don't wear that one ever again, throw it away. April 19, 2017, my life changed. My children were taken from me by the state of Florida, and all of a sudden I realized that I had a huge problem where I didn't think I had a problem before. I had been up for a few days, more than a few, and I ended up leaving my son at daycare past the time that they closed. I got a phone call from the police department that woke me up. I ran down to get my son, and they let me have him that day. But the very next morning, Child Protective Services came to my door. They interviewed me, and at the very end, they drug tested me. And that is the day that they took my children. there were so many days where I cried and I said, "Go, God, please, I want to stop, I want to stop. Please help me, please help me." And there was no help. I thought that I was gonna wake up and I was gonna be cured, and that's not how it happened. I see now that first, my prayers were answered. He first took my children and put them in a safe environment with my mother. Second, he sent me to treatment, and that is where I began my journey out of addiction. One day, I was talking to my mom, and the TPR was still being set in motion, even though I was in treatment now. I was doing good, testing negative, progressing in treatment, and they were still gonna go forward with TPR. And I told her, I said, if they take the kids, I'm done. I'm gonna go back out there, because all this, I'm doing it for them to get them back. And she let me rant, and then she said, you know, if they give me the kids and you decide to go back out there, she said, that's your decision. She's like, but just know that your daughter, who was 15 at the time, she said she's gonna go to college or she will take up a trade. And she might wanna come and crash for the weekend, or she might wanna come visit you for the holidays, or she might wanna come raid your fridge like you raid mine, or she might wanna ask you, hey mom, what are you cooking for Sunday dinner? She's like, what do you want her to find? You living from couch to couch, you being intoxicated all the time, or do you want her to come home to a mother who cares? Because she said eventually she's gonna come back. She's gonna come looking for you. I'm her grandmother, but you're gonna always be her mother. So she said, you know, if that's what you wanna do, that's fine. So that day, everything on the inside of me changed.
We saw someone who had very difficult circumstances, but wanted to change. And I think that that's a critical component when we invite somebody on our team is, do they want to change? Do they want to hustle? Do they want to be part of a team so that they can begin to rebuild their lives? And we saw that desire in her.
I've thought about that for days after she said that to me, and I want that for my child. Even if they weren't technically mine in the eyes of the state, I wanted her to knock on my door and say, hey mom, I'm hungry, do you have some meat? I need to cook some meat with my rice and my veggies. Or hey mom, can I crash on the couch this weekend? That's what I want, you know? Birthdays, holidays, I want to be there. I want to be able to bring gifts for her and him, because I have a little boy too. That's what changed. That is now I do it for me, because I want to be the best mother that I can be.
The other thing I really look for, and I certainly experienced with Shalandra, was honesty. So when I ask somebody about their past, the level of comfort that they share about their past and where they've been, to me is an indicator of kind of looking at it, accepting it, and seeing for what it is, but allowing someone to move forward. And she was able to articulate that in a way that made me feel comfortable.
And as I grew up, I fell in love with photography. So in high school, I took a college course in photography. I fell in love with the darkroom, and I could be in a darkroom for hours. I used to sign up for darkroom hours every day almost. But I got hooked up with the wrong crowd, and their dreams were completely different from mine. And, you know, you can reach down and try to help somebody, but usually what happens is they pull you down before you get a chance to pull them up. And that's basically what happened. Before you know it, I was wanting to be like them instead of them wanting what I had. It went on for a while, and I was what we called a successful addict, where I could use and go to work and take care of my kids. But eventually, after 10, 12, 14 years, it progressed and it got worse. It went from a party stage until it got to I became a slave. Whereas before it was a choice to use, and then towards the end, I had to use in order to live. I couldn't get up in the morning, I couldn't eat, I couldn't sleep, I couldn't do anything until I started to use. DACA, which is the treatment program that I am from, it saved my life. I can't say I wouldn't have it any other way, but I wouldn't have it any other way. There's other ways. Some people decide, they don't want any more drugs and they stop and they choose a different life. Other people are bound to it like I was, and we need help. And I got the help that I need, and I ran with it. I lived at the rehab facility and for 6 months. When I graduated, I needed a job.
Shalandra really, she shined, and she was honest, and she was authentic, and that's what we look for.
And Portico gave me a chance. Without this place, I don't think I would have made it. I'm a productive member of society now. I work, I take care of my children, who actually are going to be reunified with me next month. This place has helped me to save money. We have a program called Loving. They're on the 3rd floor, and they assigned me a budget specialist. I also picked up a little second job on the side to help with my budget goals. They also got me affiliated with an apartment complex who interviewed me and said I was a good fit for their community. And so I actually move in on Monday the 2nd.
We begin tonight with breaking news, the first death from coronavirus here in the United States.
2 adults have tested preemptively positive in the Tampa Bay area. Now that means they've tested positive, but the CDC hasn't confirmed the cases yet.
Wow. Yes. I like it. Definitely, these are gifts of recovery. These are the things that recovery and doing the right thing, the next right thing, has brought me. I want to create a safe haven for my children, to where when they walk through the door, they can have a sigh of relief, like, oh, we're at our castle. That's cool. And oh yeah, with kids, definitely Lysol. That is a must. And we have some hand soap, no coronavirus over here. Make sure we get into a routine, and then and obviously stay clean, and then after that, they'll be home for good, so.
Tonight, the first containment zone here in America. Restrictions on a community just outside New York City, linked to the largest cluster of cases in the country.
We have therefore made the assessment that COVID-19 can be characterized as a pandemic.
It's going to get worse and worse and worse.
Sales have dropped dramatically. We are letting people know via social media, and all of our email and correspondence are going out that we are still open for carry-out, and we have our carry-out windows so people don't even have to come in. Since downtown, most of the buildings have went to virtual work. Most people are staying home, so there's not even a lot of people downtown to even have for customers. So it's affected a lot. Also, our staff has experienced reduced hours. If the Portico closed, first of all, I want to say I don't think that's going to happen.
As we come on the air tonight, much of America shutting down.
Governor Ron DeSantis has declared a public health emergency in Florida.
Stay at home and take those simple steps to keep from contracting or spreading the coronavirus.
Yet, calling on Americans to brace for a, quote, very tough 2 weeks, saying that Americans should be prepared for more than 100,000 deaths before we get through this.
Telling all the employees that we're going to have to close because of COVID, that we could no longer sustain operations. And it was feelings of dread, feelings of anger and sadness, and just a real sense of powerlessness.
When they told us
what was happening, that we were closing down, it was a very tense moment. A lot of jaws dropped, a lot of uncertainty, a lot of fear.
We all got to share where we were, how we were feeling. There was lots of tears, and we were all, just saying how much we're gonna miss each other, because yeah, we work together, but we really are a family.
A lot of my employees just like to work. It gives them something to do, especially when you're in recovery or when you're transitioning. That downtime can be very detrimental. It can really mess things up for you. So my biggest fear was that with the uncertainty of pay, without having a job, some of the people that are transitioning would fall back into old habits, or the isolation could get to them and, have them revert back to old tendencies. I've kept in very close contact with everyone that works for the cafe, just to check in on them periodically, make sure that mentally everything's okay, financially everything's okay, and just kind of let them know that someone's there for them.
Yes, it did affect me a lot. I have bills, who doesn't? And, they're still helping us. It's not like they just say, hey, you got to go home and whatever open is, it open. They did not just leave us out in the cold. They still helping us, as far as financially to the best of their ability. But it's kind of put a little halt on me, because I'm used to working. I love going to work. I love working with customers, and being back in the kitchen. I felt hurt, and it's like every time I try to take one step ahead, I always got to take one step back. There's always someone down the line in my life that I'm always coming to some type of trial or tribulation that I have to step back. But which that is good, because where my mind is set up today, I have the patience, I have the ability, and I have the strength to hold on till something better comes along.
It was like a trickling effect, not having money, not being able to pay rent, not having a job, which having a job is part of my case plan with the state. So it not only just affected the fact that I don't have any money, but every aspect of my life is affected now. I'm looking for another job. It's very, very hard because no one's hiring right now. And although I'm working to better myself, my ultimate goal is working so that I can build a safe place for me and my children, so that the state would say, okay, we feel comfortable with giving you your kids back. You have a place for them, you can provide for them, you're steady, you're stable, and we feel like you're ready now. And because of all of this, the outbreak and the pandemic, court has been canceled. And I was supposed to meet this morning at 9:05 to meet in front of the judge for what they call a judicial review. And basically she was gonna go down the checklist and she was gonna say, okay, does she have this? Yes. Did she complete this? Yes. And at the end, they were going to reunite me and my children, to do everything I'm supposed to do and get everything I'm supposed to get done. And now everything's going to be pushed back, and I don't know how long. And my daughter, she's completely understanding. She doesn't like it, but she's patient, and she understands. what's heartbreaking is when my son says, when he says, "Mommy, when can we stay at your house forever?" And I don't know how to explain to him, well, there's a virus going around the country and you can't come home yet. I have to get a job before court, whenever that is. Before the court date comes, I have to be able to prove that I have a job. I'm holding on to the fact that we'll get to work together again. Yeah, we'll get to work together again. So, and we all still talk. We FaceTime each other, we text each other, so we crack jokes, stuff like that. And we're friends on, most of us are friends on Facebook. So even though we've departed, we've still connected. So yeah, I speak to Mindy, I speak to Jerome. Charlotte reaches out to me every now and then. Kieran, sometimes, but with him, he has his new wife, so we understand,
It happened at a time where everybody was in fear, right? Everything was closing down. But it was important to them to be married in front of God in the church. And now, mind you, they had planned a grand celebration in the community hall with, I think, like 200 guests or something like that. And it was not going to happen, and they knew that.
Saturday, March 27th, Justin, he has my cell phone number. He calls me up and said, "Hey, I don't think he said that on March 28th is when they were starting the curfew, or not the curfew, but the stay-at-home order on the 28th. So on the 27th, he called me and said, "Hey, you want to call your dad? Viviana, call her mom. Let's come down to the church in an hour, and we'll do this. We'll do the marriage right then." So we were like, okay. My father, there's a special pendant that he got in India. It's called a minu, and he came down and with the minu, and also with the mandrakoti, which is the veil that I put on her in the ceremony. And then her mother had her actual wedding dress, so she came down.
And we went into the chapel, and it was a beautiful celebration. And I think it's something that, while they didn't plan it that way, it was beautiful in the way that they experienced it. When we told them that they were no longer going to have a job, we were in the background working really hard on acquiring the PPP loan.
And I'm really grateful that they applied for that loan so quick, because it released, last Wednesday, I got to call everyone and tell them, your paycheck's been restored. I felt kind of like Santa Claus.
We're able to give them 8 weeks of their paycheck, which was helpful. The second thing we did was bridge them with our partner that's upstairs on the 3rd floor called Love Inc. and their support wraparound services. So those are the two things that we did. And we did reach out and check in on them throughout that time.
Right now we're doing pickup and delivery of retail coffee bags, but it's not the same. The biggest thing whenever I found out that we were gonna close was the fear that the mission would die. And I think it's really amazing to see the support we have from our community, because donations have been coming in, people are ordering our coffee, and it's just been really refreshing to see that so many people out there really believe in the mission, and they believe in the baristas, they believe in our story, and they know that we can grow and help more people in the future.
Every day I was putting in applications, and all of a sudden, after about maybe 2 weeks, I got 1 email this day, 2 emails that day. First, I was taking care of an autistic little boy. I did that. That was a temporary position, which helped me get caught up on rent and electric and things of that nature. So right after that,
I got another job. All of a sudden, 3 weeks ago, my case manager calls me and say, hey, we're going to do court on FaceTime. Are you available on this day and this time? And I said, absolutely.
And we're here for a judicial review, correct? So let me have case management, reunification specialist, and Ms. Rijo under oath.
Yes.
So she's very good when it comes to visiting kids. Kenai, I know he loves seeing his mom, and he loves spending time with his mom. And Jasmine, that's great. So what is the case plan goal for this case? Reunification, and once mom gets reunified, we'll file a case plan for me. We're anticipating for mom to be reunified the first week of May. Okay, so I'm going to order reunification today. This is a great day. You did really good, so way to go.
And thank you for calling
Thank you.
in.
Hello.
Congratulations, Portico.
Thank you, Mom.
All your hard work has paid off.
Mindy texts me, and she's my manager, and she texts me and said, hey, call me as soon as you can. And when I first read the text, my heart dropped. I was like, okay, everything's been going good. Please don't tell me that we're done. You know, that was what I was afraid of. And she called and said, hey, we're opening up as of the 18th. Are you available on Wednesday to open up the store? And I said, yes.
We are in the process of hiring an additional team member. Can't wait. We're excited about that. And we're also in the process of instituting a training program with the local treatment center called COVE, formerly known as DACA. And we're really excited about that opportunity to continue to live our mission of bridging people from incarceration, homelessness, and addiction to job training, housing, and employment ladder. So the future is bright, and we're hoping for no more pandemics.
If I could say something to maybe one person who's struggling with addiction, keep trying. Keep trying. Don't give up. Don't give up. Just don't. And just know that you can do it. You can do it. There's help out there. I can't stress enough. Just don't give up. No matter what happens, keep pushing.